Hi, Year 10, and welcome back. So I'm going to talk you through what you're going to be doing today in your lesson virtually. So obviously I'm pre-recording this, but I will be available during the lesson to help you. We're just working out some logistics of how that's going to work, okay? So you may have lots and lots of questions of what's going to be happening over the next couple of months, or equally you may just be happy to be back today and be seeing your friends, but we're really glad to have you back. So what I've planned for you today is a bit of a kind of introduction, kind of relaxing welcome back task. That's going to ease you back into being in school and being in the art room. And I'm also going to explain a little bit about what's going to happen going forward with your lessons. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the PowerPoint first with you. Okay, so if I just skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so the plan for today is you're going to be completing a music study based on the work of Marlene Vera, which I'll go through in a second, and I've done a video for you. And then in future lessons, you're going to be doing a series of workshops on a new topic. And this is going to help to build your observational skills up again after having some time at home. This will mean then everyone's got a chance to catch up on the missed work from remote learning at a slower pace, and then everyone's going to have the potential to still achieve really, really well on the course. Okay, so just to explain a little bit more about why we're not going to continue too much more with the music project. I've done it today just so you can kind of ease yourself back in, but I'm going to explain a little bit more about the workshop. So I'm going to introduce you to a new topic soon, which is going to be the other main unit of your coursework. The reason being, because you're going to be in that same classroom, it's going to be really difficult for you to be able to experiment enough and make those final pieces for your music project. I know those that have engaged in remote learning, you've got some really cool ideas of what you want to achieve. And I think being in that classroom with the restrictions of space is going to be really tricky for you to realise those intentions. So I think we're better off almost hopping back and forth so that hopefully in September you can be in the art room and can have a bit more opportunity to spread out and work on canvases and wood and fabric and whatever else you want to. Whereas at the moment that's not really possible. So we're going to start the workshops for the next topic soon, and then the plan is that in September you'll go back to working on your music project. So by that point, hopefully those that haven't been able to engage in remote learning will have had a chance to catch up with some of the work on Teams, and then it means everyone's on a more equal playing field. Okay, then between October half term and Christmas, we'll go back to the project that you're going to be working on soon, the nature project, and you'll create develop designs and a final piece for that. Okay, so the first part of year 11 is all going to be about making those big experimental pieces that I know you're really looking forward to making. As I said, although it means a bit of jumping back and forth, I think it's going to be the best way forward to make sure that you actually get a really good kind of taste of what being an art student is, because I know that you've been confined to a classroom where you have to sit down for a long time, and that's not necessarily always helpful for art. Okay, so it is going to mean a bit of hopping back and forth, but actually I think it's probably the best way forward with the restrictions that we currently have. And then from January of year 11 you'll be working on an exam unit up until you finish with us, unless of course you want to stay on for our Fab 6 form. So the idea of the exam unit, just in case you're starting to panic at the word exam, it's not actually really an exam, it's just another project, but the exam board will give us the theme. And then at the end of that, kind of April time of year 11, you would make a bigger final piece in the art room over 2 days. So that's why I think having that time in year 11 to really focus on bigger pieces is really going to benefit you at the end of the course. So that's why we're going to almost hop back and forth. Okay, and then I'm hoping to be back sort of end of January, February time to see you all. Okay, so if you have any questions, please ask the teacher that's in your classroom, and then they can pass them on to me and I can hopefully answer them for you for Wednesday. But for today's task, I thought we would just do something that's a little bit kind of relaxing, so you can have a chat to each other, catch up, see how each other's lockdowns have been. Obviously make sure that you're still focusing on your work, and then this piece will contribute then to potential further design ideas and obviously an artist study. Okay, so we're looking at the work of Marlene Vera. So she's a Latin American artist who creates contemporary cubist paintings. So you can see some of her work here and some close-ups here and here. Okay, and just a little bit of background info. So she sold her artwork to lots of private clients, mainly in America, that kind of area of the world, but also places like South America, Europe, including us, Asia, Africa, and Australia. So what you're going to be doing today is I'm going to skip to a tutorial in a second for you, just to kind of talk you through the process, because obviously I can't be there with you. And the idea is that you're going to look at her work, but make your own music composition, kind of just looking at her work for ideas, but obviously it being your own. So that's my in progress example there. And just a few things for success criteria. So this slide will stay on the board for you for the lesson, because we haven't been able to work out printing resources for your first day back yet. So you need to think about arranging at least 3 different images over the top of each other. In the video, I'm going to show you how to use a piece of paper to do that, but you can draw freehand as well. You want to make sure that you're using some symmetry in your work. Okay, you want to include things like swirls, waves, and keyboard keys, things that convey the idea or the feeling of music. And then when you're adding colour, think about the contrast between the warm and the cool colours. You can see here she uses a lot of kind of hot colours, reds, oranges, pinks, against the cold blue, and they balance each other really nicely. So make sure that you use that contrast of warm and cool tones, and that you try to blend your colours like in the video. If you wanted to, you could include some small areas of black and white shading as well. Okay, so you'll be using colour pencils for this piece. So I'm just going to go to the video demo. Okay, so you can use kind of half a page in your book. Okay, and I'm just going to show you now how to make a template. So you use a spare piece of paper. So it could be a handout in your book or kind of a piece of copy paper. Fold it in half, and you're just going to draw half an instrument. So I'm just drawing the outline of a guitar here with, a few little details on it, but not too much. And then if you keep it folded and cut it out, there will be scissors in the classroom for you. They're usually by the whiteboard. Obviously cut that out, and when you open it up, you're going to have a nice symmetrical shape that you can repeat more than once on your page. So then on your page, just start to play around with the composition. Think about how you're going to layer up the instrument. So I've just got one here where I've kind of split the guitar down the middle, because I want to do half, kind of maybe half warm, half cool colours. And then again, just play around with the placement of it. So you're going to still be able to see the instruments, but you're going to have lots of abstract shapes in between it, which I think is quite a nice quality to Marlena's work. And you can just start to kind of put some shapes over the top of it. Remember, press really lightly with your pencil. Think about adding in some kind of little details like I'm doing here, like the keyboard keys. Refer to her work, but you can add your own details in as well. If I just skip ahead a little bit. Okay, so I'm just drawing in some more shapes. So I've almost drawn like a little sort of saxophone shape. I'm just drawing in some other details here. Okay, and then that's my kind of finished design with the extra shapes and music notes on top. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just going to use a rubber to rub away the excess pencil, because I don't want the grey pencil to interfere with the colour. And what I was just doing there is, by kind of using the edge of the rubber, you get kind of a nice even finish. And then when it comes to adding colour, what I tend to find helps is if you kind of outline the shape lightly first. When you're adding colour, you want to try and go in the same direction, so either up and down or side to side. So obviously you can move the paper to help you with that. I find if you kind of go up and down with the pencil and then change the direction, you don't get a smoother surface at the end of it, and you can see your pencil marks. Whereas if I just keep going up and down, I will be able to blend the colours together. What you'll notice about Marlena's work is she quite often has lots of hot colours blended together. So it might start off as a red into an orange into a yellow and so on. So I want you to try and replicate that in your work, although the colour on the video isn't that great. Okay, so I'm just going in with the darker red and blending that in. The trick is to press really lightly with your pencil, and just naturally it's going to start to blend together. Okay, the only time I would go against my kind of rule of always working in the same direction is when I'm just outlining the shape, just because that's a little bit easier, and then you can blend it together afterwards. Okay, and I'm just adding a little bit of yellow in there for a bit of vibrancy, just to kind of blend it all together nicely. What you want to try and do with your shapes is, if you've got kind of a shape with lots of warm colours, the next shape should be cool colours. That seems to be a repeated thing in her work, so it's something you want to keep an eye on. If you've got two shapes together that are both warm colours, it's not a problem, but it might be that if you've used reds and oranges in one, you might want to use pinks and purples in another. Just be aware as well is that if you've got any overlap of colours, you might find that they muddy together. So if you've got obviously a red and a blue that overlap, it's going to make almost a dark burgundy. So just be aware, unless it's something that you want, that might show up a little bit in your work. So I'm just going to do a cool version here, cool colour version. Okay, and I'm just going to skip ahead a bit so you can just see a little bit more development of the piece. So a bit more shading there. Going in a bit more here. And then what I'm doing here is, rather than doing the same blending technique, I'm just adding some hatching and cross-hatching marks. That's where lines overlap. And I'm going to do that with two colours, just because I want to add a little bit of texture to that. I'm not going to do that very often, but I just want it to look a little bit different to the rest of the shapes. Okay, and then here I'm doing the same thing. So I'm doing something called scumbling here. So it's almost like drawing lots of little clouds. And again, it's just going to add a little bit of texture and interest. And then by overlapping it with a couple of different colours, you just get a really nice texture at the end. So if I skip ahead, you'll be able to see what that looks like. Okay, and I'm kind of going warm colours, cool colours, and alternating that way. Like so. Okay, and with the keyboard keys, I'm just going to keep them black and white. So you could obviously do it with a black colour pencil or a shading pencil, completely up to you. If I just skip ahead again, just so you can see a little bit more. So you can see I've started to build in some other colours. So again, trying to keep the cool versus warm, but bringing in a few different shades now. And just generally enjoying the colour blending technique. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll save this video with the PowerPoints, that hopefully you should be able to refer to it as well if you want to watch it again. Okay, so if I just go back to the PowerPoint now that you're going to need. Okay, this slide will stay on with you for the lesson. By the end of the lesson, hopefully you've got a composition like this. It might mean that it takes more than one lesson. Mine took quite a while because of all the blending techniques, but just enjoy it, have fun. Think about incorporating lots of different instruments together to create your own kind of abstract piece, but by looking at Marlena's style. And as I said, if you have any questions, you can either post them on Teams, you can ask the teacher that's with you today to pass them on to me, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, stay safe. I hope you enjoy your first day back. Take care.